So we have an update on the Hoyoverse versus SAG AFTRA VA strike situation, and it looks like Corina Boettger, the VA for Paimon, will be replaced at some point in the future. Now the YouTuber Paperbag Boy was able to land an interview with Paimon, which is actually pretty surprising to see. I wouldn't have thought that she would actually get on an interview with one of the YouTubers who has been covering this situation, and has been critical of actions of hers like trying to attack Jacob Takanashi for taking the recast role of Kinich in Genshin Impact. But here she is doing this interview. The video is 29 minutes long, and Paperbag Boy did ask her a lot of questions, but I'll just go over some of the highlights of what happened in the interview. So obviously this interview wasn't going to be Paperbag Boy grilling her the entire time, or else she probably wouldn't have stayed very long, but there were some good questions like this one where he asked her directly about what happened with the whole Jacob Takanashi situation, where he was pretty much dogpiled, attacked by VAs online when he posted his tweet announcing that he was taking the role of Kinich.
So this is obviously where we get to a tough question. You know the drama that's going on, and we can't avoid it. It's something that has to be discussed. So why was Jacob Takanashi getting the role as Kinich received so poorly by the other voice actors?
The reason why is because in the United States, obviously actors stick together, and actors. I remember being a very young actor working in theater and being told, you never take the role of a striking actor. You do not do that. That is not okay. It's not cool. But even further than that, in the United States, we have a strong history of sticking by our fellow workers and not taking the jobs of those that are striking. And you cannot like the way that I went about it. That is 100% valid. You're very welcome to have that opinion. But at the end of the day, it has been a strong history that when a worker takes the job of a striking actor, you call them out.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what you're supposed to do. And again, you don't have to like it. You don't have to like me for it. That's totally fine. But that's the reason why.
So basically she just doubles down and says, yeah, I mean, we have a strong history of striking in the United States. When somebody's striking, you don't take their position because that's wrong. So she doesn't regret at all how she and other voice actors attacked Jacob Takanashi in the responses to his tweet, trying to demonize this guy who lives in Japan, has nothing to do with SAG AFTRA or its strike, and also has a kid to take care of because he decided to take a voice acting role that was left vacant by another guy. And of course he's going to take the role. Why wouldn't he take the role? Voicing characters in a game as big as Genshin Impact is a really good position. It'll popularize your work, which helps your career, and it seems like a pretty stable, long-lasting role that'll get you paid for as long as your character needs more voice lines. Which makes the situation funnier to think about because Paimon, the literal mascot for the game, definitely had one of the most stable positions out of all the VAs here. You get paid to annoy the traveler no matter what continent they go to. I just think it's so entitled and self-important to think that the game has to go unvoiced and that players have to deal with that for as long as Hoyoverse doesn't get bullied into signing some terribly disadvantageous contract that forces them to treat these voice actors like they're full-time employees at Hoyoverse, giving them pensions, healthcare, all kinds of benefits, when their job is simply to get paid for voicing their specific character, and just that, and then lying that this whole strike was about AI protections when really it was about getting a lot more money and getting all these benefits from Hoyoverse. I mean, imagine if YouTube had to pay YouTubers a salary just in case their videos did terribly and didn't make any money, and had to pay for their healthcare, give them pensions, legal protections. The company would go broke in a day. And whenever I see these voice actors refusing to work for months to a year, I just ask myself how many people could not show up to work for a month and still have the opportunity to return to their job? And also, how much money would you need to have already to be able to not work for a month and still pay your bills and eat? So Corina Boettger and other VAs can try to compare themselves to like US steel workers striking, but I don't think anybody's going to buy that. And nobody has to care about your strike. If you want to throw away a good job that you have because you're greedy and you want all sorts of benefits that logically Hoyoverse would not pay you, and they're not paying any of the other VAs from any of the other regions these things that you're asking for, then you can go ahead and lose that position and get yourself recast. That won't be the fault of Jacob Takanashi, who took the recast for Kinich, and it won't be the fault of any other VAs who take any of the other open positions. We also got some good news that it looks like Corina Boettger is no longer going to be Paimon's VA.
That's a great memory. So are there any new major roles coming up for you soon, or is it still just going to be Paimon? I know you're not voicing Paimon at the moment, but is there any new roles that you have coming up?
Correct. After Jacob was replaced, I sent notice to Hoyo saying that I would no longer voice Paimon until they became union, so they'll probably just replace me. But
Whether she knows that she can't come back or she actually decided to step away, it seems like she's not going to be returning, which is good to hear for anybody who plays the game in the English version. You will be able to hear Paimon speak, and you won't have to deal with any of Corina Boettger's SAG AFTRA BS anymore.
Okay, so this is where we get to one that all of the fans want to know. It's what everybody's here for. Do you believe the collective work refusal will end when the strike does, even if Hoyo doesn't sign the agreement?
so I can't speak for the rest of my castmates when it comes to this, so I'll only speak on my own behalf on this. As I said earlier, when Jacob got replaced as his character Kinich in Genshin, I had sent word to Hoyo that said I refuse to come back until the game is union specifically. And the reason why I said union specifically, because I know some other actors, they just want an AI like protection signed. That's all they want, and they're willing to come back into work. For me personally, I will not come back unless it's union, and the reason why is because we are still having issues with getting paid within the 30 days as stated on our contract. If we still, and mind you, remember, I like a year or two ago, I had come forward stating that I had not gotten paid within 7 months, like for 7 months. This most recent time, I've been consistently not getting paid on a 30-day basis, but like for this one, it took 5 months for me to get paid finally.
Yeah, that's a long time.
It's a very long time, and I work paycheck to paycheck. And at this point, I'm getting more into debt because I'm not getting paid on time.
Yeah.
And if I still have to ask my parents to help me pay for my rent, I might as well actually take a stand here and say, well, I have to do that anyway. So
Did she just say asking your parents to pay her rent? Also, let's clear up a misconception here. It is not MiHoYo that is deciding not to pay Corina on time. MiHoYo hires the talent agency that hires the voice actors. Obviously, it makes sense that they would go through a proxy to get English voice actors when they're a Chinese company. I found this comment right here that pretty much says my thoughts. Why is Corina conflating her VA studio's payroll problems with Hoyoverse? They pay the studio and the studio is supposed to pay her. Seems pretty easy to file a claim for unpaid wages with the Department of Labor to get her checks. It's incredibly misleading and manipulative of her to leave out that information to give people the impression that Hoyoverse needs to be exclusively union so Corina can get paid, when the entire problem is whatever VA studio she's working under. From what I understand, Hoyoverse stepped in and got her changed to another studio when this was happening, so not sure how it's relevant to her excuse for the guild's refusal to work on Hoyo projects. The manipulation and lies are exactly why the fandom has turned on the guild. They manipulated the goodwill of the public to try to force Hoyoverse to go exclusively union when the problem was never Hoyoverse but the greedy American guild and studios. And we can see in this Reddit post, Genshin voice actor claims payment issues are being resolved and Hoyoverse were not aware that there were payment issues. So I guess the studio that Corina used to be with was called Formosa, and they were deciding not to pay her and then going to Hoyoverse and saying everything was well, just business as usual. We can see in these tweets here, Corina literally acknowledging the issues being resolved. I've finally gotten word that things are being fixed. Thank you everyone. Yeah, that's great, but I'd wish Hoyoverse was more aware of this situation sooner. It is not their fault that they didn't know sooner. There are things that I can't talk about that was the reason it was that way, but it is not Hoyoverse's fault. And then somebody responded with, if it's not Hoyoverse's fault, then why were you dragging them into this in the first few tweets? I remember you've said something along the line of, I don't know, it's studio or Hoyoverse. Kinda misleading though. By the way, damage is still rampant in the Chinese community, so I say good luck to you and Brandon. And Corina responds with, I don't know how me saying I didn't know who was at fault, which was true because I didn't, is misleading. I wasn't getting paid and nothing was being done to fix it. That was the issue. Hoyoverse, the minute they knew, stepped in to do something. That's not dragging anyone. So apparently back in 2023, Corina had the understanding that her not getting paid on time was not actually Hoyoverse's fault. But fast forward to now when it's supposed to be Hoyoverse's fault that she's not getting paid on time and a justification for this entire SAG AFTRA strike. You know, besides the whole AI protections thing, which was just another facade for the strike in the first place. But that's all all I have for this update. It looks like we are going to be seeing a new VA for Paimon sometime in the future. Hopefully sooner rather than later, Hoyoverse just recasts all of the striking VAs so that people who play in English can actually have all of the characters that they want voiced. For me personally, I don't really play Genshin, but I do play HSR with the Japanese voices because that voice cast is really good. I like it, and you really don't have to deal with them having a bunch of characters going unvoiced. But whenever Paimon does get recast, I will definitely hop into the game to see what that sounds like. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Helps me make more videos. If anything new happens on the situation, I will make an update. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you guys next time.